Welcome, everybody. My name is Ryan, and we are back with more Unreal World today. This is episode 16 of the Winter Challenge, and we're in the full swing of things here, but winter is almost over. Day 7 currently of the second week before the summer season. So essentially that means early spring is approaching right now. But we got a week, maybe more, before the, ice starts to break and the snow starts to thaw out. But it will come quickly. You'll be amazed just how radical the change is once the world goes from white to green again. Sometimes it hurts your eyes at first. But it's a welcome change, and it's going to be a lot of fun. In preparation, we are currently building a cabin, but not at this location. We're at a village, hoping to hire a couple of people, and specifically gentlemen with axes. Yeah, unfortunately, most of them don't carry axes around, but if I had some axes to give out, we could just hire some random people and give them axes to chop. But the whole point is the workers are going to chop the trees while I prepare the trunks, turn them into logs, and then lay them out in preparation for setting up walls. But we need a lot of trees chopped. That's why I don't like to do this job by myself. I mean, you certainly can, and in fact, I've got playthroughs on the channel where I'll role play as a hermit in the woods who never comes in contact with civilization. And there's a mod pack I use in those playthroughs which allows us to do all our own blacksmithing and stuff. You can literally start with nothing, essentially. If you make a stone knife, it's a really fun challenge to just have nothing and get your way bootstrapped all the way up to iron tools and stuff. But it's a process, like I said, requires certain mods. The BAC mod, BAC. So Google BAC mods, Unreal World. It's also linked in some of those older videos too. So if you watch my playthroughs with those mods, check the description. There should be links to them. But anyway, that's a side note. Let's look at this guy. No, he's carrying a club, reindeer cut, and a broad knife. Darn it. Yeah, and there's not much point looking at the ladies. Well, not for our purposes at least, but yeah, because they won't join us regardless of what they're carrying. So, I'm going to look around a couple more villages. Oh, here's a gentleman I don't think we've inspected. Let me look at your cut here, sir. Nope, you're worthless to me. But the interesting thing is the last village we went to in the previous episode, we picked up a quest. So let's take a look at that. Here's the full dialogue of it. Pause the video and read through if you'd like, if you missed that previous video where I read through it myself. But essentially, it's a long-term quest. It doesn't expire for almost a full year, a little bit less, but essentially we need to find a silver piece of jewelry and then an ant's nest, believe it or not, and we can contact the spirit of the forest. So it's not like this critical high priority thing, but I'm going to keep this looking for silver. That's going to be something that I'm keeping in the back of my mind at all times. So, in other words, before we leave the village here, because it looks like nobody has an axe in this whole place, we're going to inspect the goodies here laying around on the ground. Okay. The previous village had some bronze stuff. Okay, that's the wrong square. But the quest does specifically call for silver. No, I thought I saw something, but nothing interesting there. And I'm just looking right here as it pops up the text of what is in each square. No, furs, female dog, that's ours. Okay, nothing in this little tent, but we should be able to come around. Is this guy one we looked at? Yeah, I think it was. There's a lady above us and a child. Okay. There's just food in here. And happens to be a northern bow too. But let me zoom back out because I think there was one other tent. It's a small one. This is more of a small village. 2 tents. Yeah, there's nothing in these little ones. Usually these are empty in my experience. Alright, good for sleeping, but not much else. So, we'll head on out of this village. In the general area, though, there are a couple more. Yeah, I think we need to check this one. There's actually like 3 or 4 clumped right here to the south. That's what I'll do. I'll head down here. This is also where we have our blacksmith order, but it's not ready. I know that it's way too early, although it's not too early to hire some laborers. All right, here we go. So the very next village that I just visited, boom, this gentleman right here has agreed to join us. He's got like a leaf or something sticking out. But all right, there he is, and he does have an axe. Of course, I confirm that. Hunting knife, axe. He's got a fishing rod too, but we're not worried about that. So that's 2. One of the guys we hired has been with us for about a day, so I'd like to get a couple more people. Also, just checking, ransacking through all their stuff. So this says, and 3 more. So it's important when that pops up to actually attempt to like pick things up. And then I can look through a proper list. Okay. No silver trinkets here. So I think there's a village or a building here. I don't see any other adult males on screen. Well, that's not true, but none that will have an axe. I see an old guy, and these dudes like here, it's hard to tell. For one thing, it's raining, but you get used to the villager sprites, and this particular type never has an axe on him. Even if the village is like a wealthier village, these guys are usually just like kind of the grandpas. I always kind of think of these as like the inept nephews. But either way, okay. And then you'll see that some of the NPCs look more like outdoorsman types. They've got like a cloak on or whatever. I'll try and point one of those out too. Well, the guys that we have currently hired are like that. This dude right here. Yeah, he's the one we just looked at and hired. He's a bit more outfitted, just from the look of him. Northern bow arrows. Come on, give me some silver. If we could just get silver, we can do the quest right away. We don't have to wait 240 days. Well, okay. Nothing in there, but... Oh, there's another gentleman. Yeah, and this one, you can, again, he's got like a little cloak on, so he will probably have some stuff. No guarantee it'll be an axe, though. A knife, leather cord, she's got a shovel, club. No axe. Well, that's not to worry. The hunt for capable workers continues. All right, here we go. This is another one, 3rd or 4th, I can't remember, but we've got another gentleman with us. Let's check this tent here, and then we've got the house to the north. Still looking for silver. Now, this is actually the strange little village. It's hard to see from here, but there's 2 villages right next to each other, literally adjacent tiles. And it's, in other words, a very big place. Lots of people, several different buildings, and I did find some axes on the ground, well, in their buildings. So in other words, I could probably trade for those and then use them, as give them to some people too if we want to hire more. Let's see. Yeah, don't see any silver here. Gosh, there's lots of tents. One out there in the woods. Oh, bam, look. Silverbird bracelet. That will work. Yeah, because essentially what we do is we shave off a small sliver of this for these quests. Like I said, I've done this particular one before. Okay, so now we just need to chat. I think that's our companion. We chat with the old dude. All right, hello, sir. First, no, they don't have any animals to sell. I think I probably already asked that. But let's trade. Ooh, I hope we have enough meat with us to buy this silver thing. 7.5 pounds. That seems like overkill. Let's start with 25. Very marginal. That was a good start. Compensates for 2/3. Crap. I think we're going to have to come back. It's not a big deal. So I'll escape and we'll return and into the little tent, and I'm going to drop that back on the ground. Yeah, I don't think anything will happen to it. It'll just be sitting there when we come back. I don't know why I'm looking in these things now. But we do want to go ahead and mark it. So let's A for add. Let's add a yellow X here, kind of distinguish it from the other X's I've got. And we'll say silver here. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, actually, I don't know if I like that yellow. Let's edit it. White. Maybe that stands out a little bit better. Okay, that's good. Yeah, excellent. So we can do that quest now. I'd like to do it closer to home. But you know what? Let's see, where did I see those axes? I think they were down here. There was literally... Actually, maybe it wasn't this tent. There were 2 regular ones and a rough hand axe. I think I'm going to try and grab the rough hand axe. Oh, that might have been in this building. Wooden bowl. Man, I was just here looking at them. Maybe up here. There's 2 hand... Yeah, it was somewhere in here. So I'm going to trade for that. Find that. Let's pick up. No. Rough hand axe. There it is. Yeah, we'll trade for this now. So let's step back outside. Talk to a villager. Boom. Trade. Offer. We should have enough for this, right? Oh, yeah, that was probably overpaying, but that's okay. I'll just say that's a good trade. Excellent. And now, heck, you know what? Since I just traded that old man with a bunch of meat, if I attempt to hire him, H2, he is ready to start working right away because he's got a ton of meat on him that I literally just traded him. So there we go. Goodbye. But I am going to go ahead and deliver an item, and it's going to be the rough hand axe. Boom. So yeah, as I mentioned, the old men can be capable workers and even warriors. It's even more helpful if you give them the right tools and weapons for the trade. And we have returned with our small contingent of workers here to our new home. Yep. Boom. We're back. Hello, Bessie. Oh, okay, this is probably the first guy that we hired. But, yeah, let's move a little bit so they'll kind of scatter. And now we'll talk to one of the guys. But we'll use the group command right there. And now anything I issue them, such as cutting trees, they'll all do. Boom, there we go. And we get confirmations from them. If for some reason I forgot to give the guy an axe, then he would tell me that. He would say, I would cut down trees if I had the right tools, something like that, basically. But that's good. And now they'll scatter. Excellent. Get out of here. It's important that when we tie up the dogs... and Bessie here, that we do it to one of these young saplings and not to a full-grown tree, because they will just come right over here and chop that tree down, even with our dogs and cows like tied up to it. They're not the smartest of workers, but no, so just keep that in mind so you don't lose your animals. Okay, and tie those guys to the tree, so we're free of the dogs now. But we're going to get a kennel for them set up soon. It's just the house definitely takes as much priority as I can give it. But let's see. Got a few logs to process. Oh, I'm ready to drop. So let's move into our shelter. We'll sleep. I'm going to be very hungry in the morning. But looks like our men are working. Zoom out. Oh yeah, they're still chopping trees. They just chopped all night long. It's after midnight, but they're not stopping. That's good. That's good. Yeah, we even got this dude down here working. Awesome. So yeah, having 4 guys like this is gonna definitely increase our lumber. So what is my time best spent doing right now? Honestly, let's sort through some of the loot that we've got. Maybe we'll do some crafting, so we can go buy that silver piece. Now, I am going to stick around the campsite here for a couple of days until these guys have all journeyed off. We've paid them and they've left. because I don't want to waste, my time with them. We need them here cutting wood. So in other words, I'm going to look through this stuff, but I don't think I'm going to pick it up necessarily just yet. So, wow, we do have some good leather stuff here for trading. These boots are mine. Those are going to stay with me, and I'll wear them in the summer once it gets warmer. But we've also got a full piece of leather. I could make a few other items. Let's see, what are we wearing? Actually, I think we need to wear this. Yeah. Do we have a leather shirt on, too? Yeah, I've got a leather shirt. Okay, because there's one on the ground. But that, yeah, we'll need that. That's just an armor piece I took off. It's also slightly damaged, but hey, who knows? Probably got swiped by a wolf or something. Oh, well, either way, we're looking a little better. And yeah, trade-wise, we've got the small winter fox fur, but yeah, I think we're set. Oh, and I got to do something with these grains of this flour at some point. We could take that and trade some of it, but yeah, we're good. I don't need to worry about crafting up anything, really. We'll just hold on to our leather, and that gives me time now to focus more on, hopefully, what will be our little log cabin soon enough. Whew, man, oh man, let me tell you what. I have been doing some serious work. Look at the amount of logs we've got over here now. Yeah, the forest has been pushed back quite a bit, but, well, we're still not quite done. This is going to be the upper wall, the length of it at least, and then I'll probably, come down to about here, and we'll start to accumulate logs for a wall going across. So it's not going to be massive, certainly not the largest cabin I've ever built, but just goes to show how much resources you need. And of course, the ones that you can see little twigs coming off them, a little bit lighter colored, I still need to turn those into proper logs. But zoom back out, and our guys are still going strong over here. Yeah, see, look at this. These two are having a little conversation over here, but yeah, the forest has been pushed back quite a bit. Let's go ahead. I find the best thing to do is when I see them standing like this, not actually next to a tree, is just give them a new order. Just reassign them to the order. Boom. Yeah, that gets them moving again. There we go. But they are keeping me on my toes. I'm definitely having to keep up with them. But let's see, it is day 6 of the last week before summer season. So, like I said, time's flying right along. I've been just steadily moving logs. And occasionally I will chop down one of these small trees too. Because for the floors and ceilings, we're going to need some of those slender trunks. So I'm starting to pile them right here at this location. Yeah, we've got just over 20 of them. There we go. Yeah, I think I'll start to bring the logs across here. So that'll be the southern boundary of the cottage. There we go. We can start to see the shape of it. And back and forth I go. So there's not much to do except, like I say, just pass the time working. And until these guys leave, I think we'll judge it at that point. I was going to say maybe we'll have to go hire some more. But I don't really know, obviously, until we get there. We'll see how many logs we have. If I just need, 6 or 7 more logs, I can cut those myself. But we're definitely going to return and get that silver once these guys are done working for us. But I see them standing around idle, so get to work, everybody. Time to return for our friends. They are leaving us. Let's do 10 pieces to this gentleman. Still not even. I did have them working pretty much non-stop the whole time. Still not even. A few more things. Alright, we'll come over to our meat pile. So the old man already left. And I didn't have to give him too much, though. I'll just grab all that. Because he had the old axe. But this guy's still standing here waiting. Alright, deliver. I have something for you. We'll just keep going in 10 increments here. And there we go. All right. Gave him, I don't know, about 40 pieces of meat there, but it was worth it. All right. Thanks, buddy. And you get out of here. These two haven't spoken to me yet, so I'll continue to order them. Boom. There we go. Let's drag this log over here, and I'll show you the progress I've made on the layout. We're actually pretty much ready. Yeah, I've got the logs we need now. So that's 4 in that stack, but every one of these has 6 tree trunks and or logs. Like I said, I still got to do a lot of the processing of the logs, but back over here, I actually I've been reconsidering its location too. Now that they cleared out all this forest here, I'm thinking I kind of want to build it over here now. It's a bit clear, and I could probably line it up so that we don't actually see any of these like terrain, indicators inside the house. It does take a while though. Look how long it takes me to move like a stack of 6 logs. I'm going to pick up, no, not that. I'm going to pick up the branches. Now we'll move all 6 of these logs. It takes me 6 minutes each square. But I guess it's not too bad. It's just there's a lot of logs that I've already moved. But, as I've said before, in games like this, open world games, or any game, you want to make sure that you enjoy and really like the place that you've decided to settle in every aspect. The geography, the terrain, and of course the actual placement of your house. So yeah, if I push this, I think that's what we'll do. Uh-oh, ready to drop. Yeah, it's been quite an ordeal getting all this work done. All right, that's probably enough. No need to push our guy too far. Stand up, sir. He can't even stand up. He is so tired. Get up. All right, we'll come over here to our shelter, take another rest, and I bet you when we wake up, our companions will be chitter-chattering, telling me they're ready to leave. They've actually been here a lot longer than I expected. No, don't climb that. The old man left a couple of days ago. These 2 guys are just hanging around. Well, they're still here, so let me give them another order. Boom. All right, well, we're not done yet. Keep working. And I'm going to start laying out the logs over here now, right in front of this little birch tree. Beautiful. Okay, our buddy with the leaf on his face here is ready to leave, so let's deliver. And he is our last worker. I'm just going to start with 30. Not quite enough. 10. Better late than never. There we go, buddy. You got it. All right. Yeah, like I said, that was our last worker. And I started to move the piles of logs over here, but it is long. It takes a long time, about half the day to move an entire stack from over there to here. But not to worry. I'm going to get going. And man, oh man, look at this. They did cut down quite a few trees, so we'll have some extra wood, which is always good, because keep in mind, when smoking meat, we have to keep that fire stoked and lit constantly. Well, that's not totally true. You can have like short breaks. If the fire goes out for a brief time, it's not the end of the world, as long as you don't let it go for days and days without having a fire going, because then your meat will start to rot. But either way, we'll get more into that in detail after we've built the cabin and once it starts to warm up. But it's early evening, although my sleep schedule's a little messed up, so I'm ready. We're vigorous. I think it's time, as promised. Can we pick them all up? There we go. Yeah, to head south again, or over to the Gray Tribes, and we're going to buy that silver locket. I'm going to grab a bit more meat just for some bartering, but I think we'll take the winter fox fur. I'll grab this cloak. Just basically everything here. The leather itself I don't want to trade. I might even take a bag of grain. Yeah, there we go. It's good enough. And, all right, our companions are still hanging around the area, but they'll disperse as we go. Yeah, see, look at that. There's a foreign trader right there next to the house. But as I was mentioning, we could potentially get silver from them, but the only thing that they will accept and trade is fur. So I can't even offer them, like, fur clothing. But, hey, look at that. Oh, it's happening. Yes, the winter snows are starting to recede. Temperature's getting a bit higher. So we've made the switch to green. Let's zoom in. Oh, okay, we still got a dusting of snow on the ground, but the world map looks a lot nicer. Let's see, it is night. We'll sleep a bit, have a meal here on the road, but I'm just heading straight shot, no wasting time. We're headed for the white X. All right, let's keep it going. We're not going to be doing any more hiring either, at least not at this moment. Maybe in the future. Maybe we'll do some fighting or warring. Who knows? Who knows? Haven't seen a single darn peasant, though, so that's kind of nice. We're pretty far from their territory, but they do wander. You'll come across one or two of them here and there. All right, I think it was... Oh, gosh, I've forgotten where the silver pendant was now. Now, wasn't it up here in this tent? I think this is where I dropped it. Let's see here. Yep, there it is. The silver bird bracelet. All right, let's trade with the lazy nephew here. Yeah, what's up, lazy nephew? All right, we'll greet him. And T for trade. All right, offer item for payment. Let's come to our clothing. Here it is. Okay. Let's do those two. Very marginal. Oh, God, I hope I brought enough stuff. Okay, the fur cloak. Wow, it's silver. So I guess it's not surprising, but damn. Winter fox fur? Pleasantly close. Those fox furs are actually quite valuable. Bag of grain? Hey, nice. Yeah, again, I might be overpaying for this. I might be able to take back a pair of the leather shin guards, but ultimately, that's fine with me. There's no reason to be too back and forth about it, because at this stage in the game, we don't need the things to survive. This is more just for questing and having fun, but we did it. Let's see. Yep, we've got ourselves a silver bird bracelet. Cannot actually be worn, unfortunately. These little trinkets of bronze and silver, I'm pretty sure are strictly for these quests that we'll be doing. But yeah, as I understand it, though, we can carve slivers off of it, so we don't have to use the entire thing, I think, for the quest. But let's not quote me on that, because that could have been changed. I don't know. We'll have to reread the quest and then, of course, just give it a try and see how it goes. But now we've got to make the trip back north to our shelter. If I can get out of here. There we go. Yeah, like I said, no more hiring. We're just going to be heading back solo. I think I can go ahead and delete the mark. A, and then delete, and now it's gone. Beautiful. Yep, quick trip. No. We haven't spotted any bears in our playthrough yet, which is a little bit surprising, I guess. But ultimately good. Although now that we do have some dogs with us, if I came across a bear, I would be very tempted to try and hunt it. So maybe we will still do that. Let's see. Let's fill up our bowl here too. I want to just briefly look at our spells. Carrying bear teeth to find hair. See, because there are certain spells and magic means which relate to wearing bear items. Like this one talks about bear teeth, which we'll get from killing a bear and removing from the skull. The bear skull rite is a separate thing. That's just to let the spirit of the bear rest after we've killed one. So we would do that too. But another one we don't have in our list, but I've seen before, is I believe if you wear bear fur gloves, it helps in certain hunting. I can't remember the exact spell or magic means, but yeah, again, bear fur is very valuable, not just for trading, but for the spirit world too. So that's why we'll be wanting to hunt one of those big ones. But wolves are a different matter. I'm not going to be hunting wolves if I can help it, for sure. I have a very strong adversity to the wolf encounters, but it's just because of bad experiences in the past. Let's see. All right, we're almost back. I've got to get used to returning to this position instead of our previous campsite. We spent a lot of time living at this location, which is not far, but yeah, I have a tendency to return here each time. Although once we get our cabin, this is it. Yeah, look. Okay, so we've got, obviously, we're living on the side of a mountain, so some of our area is rocky, but we couldn't really see that with the snow covering it. So the coastline here is, yeah, a bit gravelly with some rock exposed, but we've got the greenery. And like I said, I think this is going to be the location of the house. Yeah, I'm going to move it from the cliffside. This just isn't that nice, is it? Especially now that we see it without the snow on it. Oh, yeah, we don't want to live here. We want to live over here in the nice little mountain meadow. Oh, yeah, this will be good. So, once we get that established, we'll start to work on the walls, which I was kind of hoping we could do today, but making the shift is going to take a lot of time. So, I'll probably do that off camera, and hopefully by the next episode, we'll be ready to put those walls up. And once we've done that, I think, yeah, we'll start to head out and look for more hunting. Obviously we're going to have to smoke, but while we go around looking for hunting opportunities, we've got to start thinking about an anthill, as that's going to be essential to finishing this quest. So that'll be something. I was hoping maybe we could find one right next door, but not to worry. Anthills aren't that rare. It's just sometimes you gotta strain your eyes to spot them. But regardless, everyone, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the UnReal World. If you are a fan of this game, let me know down in the comments section. Of course, always make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're a new viewer, and I'll see you guys on the next one.